Hey guys, it's your boy Pat. Welcome back to the next episode of the Hollow Down Cigar Lounge podcast. We are smoking a fantastic blend for you today, something that I'm excited to talk about. So we are bringing in our homeboy Chad over here. We're just going to point both ways and roll with it.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good, brother. I'm excited for this one. It's something we've talked about doing for probably a month or two now. Kind of
I've
letting
been
this one
excited
rest.
for this one.
I have been excited. So we're going to get straight to it because I don't want to talk too much before my lips touch the flavor of this one. So we are smoking a very unique one-time release smoke today, produced by Cigar Dojo and Black Star Line Cigars. This is a collaboration between the two. It is labeled as the Cigar Dojo Yasuke. That is spelled as close as we have an American Yasuke. And it has a beautiful pigtail at the top that we're going to explain why here in just a moment. But it is a beautifully oily, soft cigar, has a great cap on it. There are just plenty of things to discuss and talk about with this cigar. So
It smells delicious too.
it smells amazing. So we are both extremely excited to light into this one. So without further ado, we're going to start the best part of the show, and then I'll jump
That's
over
right.
here and talk about some things.
I'm gonna V-cut this one.
You know what? So am I. Oh my gosh, that was perfect. And it's got, as Chad showed you, it's got a,
Triple cap.
even after the cut, if it'll refocus, it's got a just fantastic, oh, come on, baby, focus for me. It's got a
I got you over
fantastic
here.
cap. Yeah, so both of us.
It's got
That
a
is,
triple cap and it's very nice. It's well constructed. When
as
I
a
cut through it, it
cutter,
didn't even budge, which is a good sign because a lot of times, even when they double and triple cap them, they don't
it'll
glue
kind
them
of
that well,
retain.
and so it'll actually pull the cap right off when you're trying to V-cut it.
Well, I am going to try. We're about to see. I love doing match lights when the weather allows, and since I'm out in the garage today, not enough wind coming through, we're going to attempt. And that's just kind of a nostalgic thing I usually don't get to do, especially on show when we're outside or.
It's taking me a second here. I got some wind. Trying not to get carried away and burn this wrapper.
Oh, hot damn.
You already took a draw? I'm still
Oh, I
not there
just got
yet.
my first one. I was able to match light it nice and slow. Oh, man. I can't say anything yet. I got to wait on you. But I will say is a lot of times you have cigars that on the construction side, have these kind of veiny looks. And sometimes it's a show of premature rolling or premature, wrapping, whatever. I don't think that's the case. This is actually well constructed. I don't mind a little bit of look, and we'll
Corojo is
explain.
known to be veiny like this.
It is, and at first look, we thought it might have been a Habano before we actually dove into the look, and it is a Corojo. It's a Corojo 2012 wrapper, which we can go ahead and explain the details. But I wanted to point that out before we get in here because the construction of this one is phenomenal, top notch immediately. So we're going to do this the proper service. And since this is a blend that is collaborated from Cigar Dojo, there's no other place better than Cigar Dojo's website to read you these details. The Yasuke cigar is a collaboration, again, between Cigar Dojo and the Black Star Line Cigars, which is the first joint project between those two brands. The name comes after Yasuke, who is the first black samurai who served with the Japanese in the 16th century. Pays tribute to the historical figure, blending Cigar Dojo's Japanese-inspired design with Black Star Line's dedication to storytelling and craftsmanship. It was only available exclusively through Smoke Inn. It was a special release drop, which just gives you a distinct smoking experience as well. And I'm always a sucker for something that's got some ties to history and culture as well. Just kind of gives it a little meaning to it.
I like stuff with the storyline too. Yeah.
And as far as the blending, it's crafted at Aganorsa Leaf in Nicaragua. Features a Nicaraguan Corojo 2012 wrapper and binder. It's paired with a filler blend of Nicaraguan tobaccos as well as a Mexican San Andres portion. Only comes in a 6x52 Toro format, which is what we both have, obviously. And flavor notes, it's more of a medium to full body. Notes including some pork, sweet hickory, toasted almonds, nutmeg, and a subtle bit of sweetness. And as we explained, that pigtail was on purpose for the cap, inspired by the samurai's top knot, which is, anything about samurai culture is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, right off the get, I'm only getting, I hit some spice. I retroed it the second hit. A little nostril burn, some pepper, but I think I'm just getting some hickory, some woodsy taste right now, but maybe a fleeting sweet, a little bit of sweet wood. That's about it.
Yeah, I've got sweet wood. I only get any type of spice or pepper on that retro. Don't get any on the natural pulls.
Yeah, the mouth feels clean, like there's no pepper there.
Very
it's
clean.
Only when you're retroing.
Very clean, which I don't hate.
No.
I mean, that's not a dig. If you don't understand what Chad's saying there, that is not a dig. It's not saying there's no flavor. It's just well balanced and clean. You're not getting any weird harsh tones or overbites or anything like that.
It's like red pepper too. My nose is feeling it. Made my eyes water that time.
That retro is good. It's good pepper. And
woo, boy, they're gonna think you were telling me a sad story. I actually got a little tear there on that one, I think.
Hey, samurai are not known to be weak, so
yeah,
it's fitting.
I can't smoke the cigar if I keep crying.
I'm not drinking anything crazy. I've just got some classic bourbon over here. Felt like it paired well with the. I didn't know if it's going to be hick or anything, but that kind of smell, good taste or good aroma of a little bit of woodiness. So
yeah, and I did the your trick where you take your first pull. I didn't do my first one, about my third one, and just chewed on the smoke. I've been doing that a lot more since we talked about it, and
that's something I wish I'd have caught on a lot sooner.
Yeah, it's definitely a helpful thing, and helps you kind of just gauge where to start. I think I love it. It's a great idea. I like learning stuff too, so people teach you tricks. I like doing them.
Who better to learn from a Sahakian? So
yeah, he might know what he's talking about.
Just a little bit. But so there was, as far as numbers, I mentioned it's a special release. There were only 3,000 cigars released. There was 300 bundles, and each bundle had 10. And it was dropped at like noon on a Saturday or a Friday or something like that. And luckily, I was privy to see the email early enough from Smoke Inn that I was able to get my hands on some of these. They are, we say this now, but I'm curious to see if it's going to stay as a one-time release or if it's something that may come annual, because some special blends do, but only time will tell on that one. But for now, at the time we were smoking this, it is a one-time thing. So if you got your hands on one, you're the only one that can, because you can't go buy them now. So we will see what happens as word gets out on these and what people think and what they choose to do with it.
Yeah, it might be something where they can only source so much of that certain tobacco too, whatever made it special, or that's a lot of times the case.
Yep. You know, you kind of base how many cigars you're going to do based on what your production ability is. So,
or if they go try to recreate it at another time, sometimes it's a huge failure because they try to recreate the same cigar with different sourcing, and it's different.
Doesn't always work.
Right. One little component is different. It can change the whole thing.
Keeping our trend of a smoky cigar, I don't know if you're able to see it as much if you're having some wind, but in here where I'm inside behind the doors, it's not quite as smoky as some of the others that we've done lately, but it's definitely got pretty good smoke production, I think.
I would say this is more medium body from what I have so far.
And they reference medium to medium full, so I'm tied between if I'm going to say medium or medium plus at this point. It's floating in the middle for me. You know, it's a good cigar though if we both stop talking long enough to hit it.
Right. The pepper has subsided, so I just...
When you have a cigar talk show and you stop talking to hit the cigar, that's a good sign.
Right. I was able to retro it right there with ease, so it's just that Lajero they put in the end of that thing is like fire.
And, you know, talking about special releases, we've kind of had a problem as our little group. I know several of us in Holodan family have talked about this lately. You know, you usually see a couple cigar drop a year, special releases or new releases that you kind of get your hands on. The end of 2024 has sucked in one of the best ways possible. Yeah. Because, dude, we have had, gosh, I should have wrote these down, but the amount of drops that several of us have tried to get our hands on, some are annual releases, some are new releases. It's just, you know, it started with this a few months ago. Goodness, I don't even. Of course, Secreto's got their Don Dermas that came back out. Dunbarton's got a new smoking exclusive that's come out. You've got Cigars Daily has had the
Lanceros, the GFY.
The GFY Lanceros.
So I feel like Steve Saka was trying to ruin everybody's life, is what I feel like. Because Don Derma, GFY, he just dropped those green Potapero torpedoes. Yeah. And what else did you mention from Saka?
Those are the three that I mentioned, but I feel like I'm missing something else.
24 just dropped yesterday. Holiday blend.
Oh, the
Holiday 24, which is still it's the same blend as the 23, which is just a phenomenal cigar. I mean, they're so good. Have you had one? The 23?
23, I did.
The Connecticut, and to me, it's eggnog and sugar cookies. Like when I
was very surprised because, as you know, I usually don't like Connecticut. That's a short list. Mm-hmm. That is on that list.
Well, that and Brulee Blue got me back into Connecticut's. Like once I started smoking those, I'm like, wow, like you can get so much flavor in these. So I started venturing into some other Connecticut's as well. But as you know,
Brulee Blue that's a great cigar as well.
It is. I prefer the 23 Holiday blend by far. And part of the reason is what we just talked about. I like smoke. And so that's a Toro. And the Brulee Blue is a lot smaller ring gauge. So for me, I have to work a little harder to get the same, amount of smoke. It's a fantastic cigar, don't get me wrong. I love it. And I smoke them on the regular. But if I had two sitting there, I'm usually going to pick the 23. So I've got about 3 left, so I'm itching to get a box of these 24.
I don't, unless it's buried. I'm not sure if I have another one or not. I want to say I think I've got one, maybe. I know I have a couple Stillwells, but off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. which ones I have, and of course I could be nerdy and check my inventory over here while we're talking. But I think, now I'm just gonna have to look because now I've got it in my head.
So have you had the 22, which is the holiday 22? Have you had that one?
I actually think the 22 was the very first. I think that was my introduction to the Stillwells, if I'm being honest. I didn't
Yeah, that's
touch
the
them.
polar opposite of the 23. Like it's literally you couldn't have a more different cigar. It's very dark,
Well,
cocoa, like it's heavy cocoa puff. I love that cigar too.
so as it turns out, the only one I have left on hand is the Stillwell Star English number 27. I don't have any of the holidays left.
But
Not to
you've
get my
smoked both of them?
I have
You've
smoked
smoked
both of them.
22 and 23. In my opinion, those are my favorite of all the Stillwells. The Navy is pretty good. I like that one too. And the Bayou. The Bayou is the 27 that you just mentioned, right?
It's English.
Oh, what's the Bayou? Oh, the Bayou is
Is
a
that
23 or
number?
32.
I forget. I forget the numbers. I'm not
The
gonna lie.
Bayou is pretty good too. Well, for me at least.
But yeah, it's just an. I know the last couple of years there's been some economic issues, especially in the U.S. Not only in the U.S., but especially here, and we've had issues with general commerce and tobacco policies changing. So there's been some kind of stall, and it's kind of both inspiring but both frustrating because we kind of want to get back into the game. We kind of want to get back into these new products, and I know there's several blends out there. We're just kind of mentioning kind of the top three companies alone, and they've got multiple drops, and we haven't really even expanded the list to talk about several of the other ones that have just, like I said, I should have been smart and brought a list because it's pretty expansive, the stuff that we've kind of talked about. It's frustrating because we all want to try it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we all do have limits on our credit lines and our paychecks. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, Adventura dropped Blue Eye Jack this year. That's one that you and I both got. That was
yep.
earlier in the year. There's been several drops this year, so it's been
and Blue Eye Jack is one that we do have planned for a future show. So y'all will see that one coming up on another Adventura episode at some point. Got a lot of great blends that we're wanting to start, bringing out, and that's why we do this. We can sit and talk, but we also get to play around with these cigars and talk to you about them and let you know what we think. It's kind of a good mix, in my opinion.
I'm getting a floral note now. A little bit of. I'm still getting that same, woodsy taste. It's a little sweet, but it's almost picking up some floral notes for me.
I was about to say different. I'm not getting any floral. Definitely have that wood. I'm almost getting more of a nutty tone almost.
Yeah.
And I don't
see that too.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that they didn't say that, but my brain farted. So they do reference some toasted almonds. Okay, so that lines out. I guess my brain skipped over that in my memory of what was on the list.
I remember when you mentioned that, yeah.
Glad one of us
nut. I don't pay a lot of attention when you're reading usually. I just kind of go off whatever I'm tasting. Because it's always different. Like, you read those reviews, sometimes I'll read one and I'll be like, I don't taste any of that, but I taste this, this, and this. Because everybody's palate's just different, right?
And I will tell you, we've said it before, but that statement is 100% why we decided to do the show the way we do. If you want your review, they're out there. But if you want honest comparisons for somebody that's just here at home hanging out having cigars, and sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree.
Well, I mean, you even read reviews between different sites, and they'll have a completely different, set of tasting notes. So you can use it as a jumping off point, right? Yeah, but it's like, you should taste some of that and some of that, but I was just, a lot of times, like we talk about on here all the time, what you're drinking depends, what you're going to taste. It pulls certain things out, what you've ate that day, everybody's different, so you'll find different things based on, like, I'm drinking this today. It's going to pull out some different notes than bourbon.
And to your point, bourbon, wood, those always
Right.
pull out together.
Right, and I'm gonna pull more sweet notes out with a clean palate like that. Anything
Indeed.
floral, you can't taste that stuff when you're covering up with heavy liquors and things.
Mm-mm.
I don't think, but
I agree.
I wouldn't know because I haven't smoked a cigar with a glass of bourbon for 22 years. So
right, but your memory's still on point there. It does change your palate, what's produced and what taste buds are heightened, which ones are desensitized, and it just changes your.
you know what people don't ever talk about? I wonder, we should do a show sometime and drink like chocolate milk or something with our cigar. It's probably super weird, but I don't know.
Nope. I'm gonna agree with you because we haven't done it on a show, but I've done it, and I've done it frequently.
Really? Oh,
yes.
So that's something you've found as a good pairing?
Yes. So I started the first time I did anything with milk was when I wanted to cleanse my palate, but the lime juice was expired. I didn't have anything else, and I was like, I probably could have gotten away with it.
Right.
I was like,
was it fake lime juice? Because you can go 6 months past with that.
No, it's the concentrated real lime juice.
Okay.
So I didn't want to risk it. So I got milk just because I know that milk coats everything. So I was like, okay, well, at least that will, the fatty parts of the milk will kind of absorb, your taste buds will absorb it, and it's not as good as a true palate cleanser, but it helps. And I realized, I was like, okay, well, this actually brings out some cleaner flavors because my taste buds have reset. And I know we have talked about if you're trying to read a cocoa or chocolate note, eat a piece of chocolate before. And I was like, I wonder what would happen. And had some chocolate milk. And I will tell you, for me, anything that, now if it's got a nutty profile, it was kind of hit or miss. But if it's one that's just like you're just getting the coffee and the spice and the pepper, kind of your big three, phenomenal. Which kind of goes
a little bit of pepper there. Whew.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Chocolate and coffee kind of go hand in hand, and that's probably why I liked it. So if it's something you haven't done, you should definitely try it. And I'm down for doing it on the show sometime because I like it.
I would think that like hot cocoa with the right stick would be phenomenal. Like, for instance, that cigar we just referenced, the Holiday 22,
right?
And hot chocolate, because it already has hot chocolate vibes. Like, literally, that's what I think of when I smoke that cigar: is hot chocolate and marshmallows.
That's a good point.
I'm starting to get a little more smoke out of this now, though, so I don't know why on the onset there wasn't giving me as much smoke, but it's definitely making some more smoke now.
It could be a construction thing, and I'm going to say this, and I'm curious if you saw it. So mine, at the beginning, and I'll show you this burn, at the beginning, right now, man, it does not want to focus out here, though, that's for sure. So apologize if you guys are watching this. There we go. So right now, it's kind of pretty good burn except for that one tip right there. It's starting to kind of level out, but at the beginning, and I probably should have pulled it up.
I had a run on mine too. Is that what I did?
That's
too,
exactly where I'm going. And if I'm able to catch it in the video before, I'll put a screenshot up here. I'm not sure if I was holding it at appropriate, but it kind of had a real good jug on both sides, and it was a little too airy, but if I pulled consecutive puffs, it would kind of come back together. When it rested, it was airy. So it was just running. Now that the run has stopped, the draw does seem to be better.
Yeah.
So just the tip of that was probably just a little loose on the tobacco when they put it in the mold. But the rest of it seems to be clearing up and evening out.
I typically like most Corojo cigars. Because they lend themselves to that floral sweet note that I always like. They're woody, floral, and they're typically not too peppery, right? So,
have you tried I'm sure you have. Have you had the out of the Camacho Color series? Have you had that Corojo?
Yeah, I've had a few of those,
Is that
and they're pretty.
the orange?
Mm, no, I
I
think
get
it's
that one in the
the
Criollo.
red.
Colors mixed up.
I think the
That's
red is the Corojo, and the orange is the Nicaragua,
oh, you are correct. It is the red.
and then the yellowy one is the Connecticut.
You know how much of an idiot I am right now? I should
I
know
might
this
have them swapped
because
though.
I just ordered a box of the Corojos. I should know this. It's in my humidor.
Oh yeah, I don't smoke enough of the Camachos. Um, I do enjoy some of the little short smokes in the Camacho line. Like I'll
Right?
buy a box of the 10, I don't even know what the cigarillos, what they are. They're
Yep.
just
Pretty
baby
much.
cigars. They're great for work. So when I'm at work, I can just step out and have a little 15-minute hit. So I
Well,
bought a few of those in Camacho.
I usually get Camachos in like the 5 packs and whatever. But I had, uh, and I'm gonna look because we have been referencing. We bought so many cigars lately, all of us, that these actually I got from Cigars Daily about a month ago, or less than a month ago, and they were doing a swag deal, and that was a fantastic swag deal. I bought one box and got a beer tap opener, 2 ceramic mugs, an ashtray, a cutter.
Is that the one you posted with that cool cutter? It's a
Yeah,
butterfly cutter, but the wings are on the bottom instead of the top. Like mine is.
yep.
Mine's like this, but the Camacho one is actually upside down, so the wings are
It
down
is
there.
a very.
It's pretty
Um,
sweet.
I don't
I
have it in arm's
commented on
reach,
it.
but it is a very cool cutter. I'm not going to pull it out yet because cutter purposes, my 3 that I'm rocking is I've got my Galiner, which is basically a knockoff Calibri. To be honest, that's this V cutter, fantastic for V cuts. I've got my straight cutter. Then this is right now I'm just using the smoke in that's just got the backstop, and then similar to what yours with a Zycar looks like.
This one here it's the Fuente one, but I believe that Zycar makes them.
Okay, the
I'm
one
not
I've got
positive.
is the Calibri cut, but it's the same.
Yeah,
It's the
Zycar
same
makes all these, I believe.
same concept. It's pretty much Zycar Calibri. They're kind of the two when you're talking about cutters. But whenever one of these dies, then I'll pull that one out. I don't want to pull it out prematurely, and cutters last a while, so always gives me something on backup.
I always take all those ones I get from the little niche ones you get with boxes and stuff, and I have every coat I have has a spare lighter and a spare cutter, and
Yep,
I got 3 coats, so I'm rocking 3 different coats, and they all have at least a lighter. Some of them have 2 lighters in them because when you run out of fuel, then that sucks. So I've got a lot of all that odds and ends stuff. I just kind of use as overflow for spares.
I'm kind of similar. I've always keep a cutter, a cheap cutter, and lighter in the truck, and then I've got my 2 or 3 of the different style cuts, and of course I've also got my punch cutter we've talked about that's integrated with my nubber and my draw tool. All that stays in there, but I've got spares rolled around. I've got extra in the drawer, got extra outside if I'm smoking. So, uh, as we have talked about with the temperature changes, I don't need coats as often as you do, so
Yeah,
I don't do that technique. But obviously, that's something you're gonna need to work with.
it's a brisk. It was 40 last time I looked. It's 56 now, so it's 40 this morning. It's
Okay, okay.
56, and it's not too bad. I still have my heater going here, but I'm pretty comfortable. I could take this coat off actually and still be okay, which I might do here in a minute because I'm getting warm.
It is, and this is only because we had a heavy douse of rain recently, but it is a cool 74 degrees. So we're still in. I guess technically we joked, recently about still being in summer, but I guess it's more or less we're appropriately in fall, but still not cold for us yet.
74 in the fall, huh?
Yeah.
That's tough stuff, man. I feel for you.
Well, I will tell you. So this this episode also does for us is we are officially kicking off the winter CFW drive. And you know what that means? I get to actually open my fat mouth on what we're doing about it.
All right. Love it. I got all my stuff already.
Right? So we are going to do a fantastic giveaway. Chad started this great idea, and y'all have heard us reference this a few times. So it's something we're going to run with, whether it's us sponsoring the giveaway or somebody else. There's going to be something involved. And that's a commitment Chad and I made. So even if we don't have anything that's sponsored or given to us, we're going to do it because we just think it's a great way to give back to all of you for helping us out as a family. The Cigars for Warriors drive, in case this is the first time, I'll say it every time. It's a drive that we do twice a year. And with the drive, what we do, since we are not a brick and mortar, we don't have a place for people to just drop by and put cigars in a box like a lot of retailers do. So we are partnered with Cigars for Warriors as a remote. I guess we'll just use the word partner because I don't want to use sponsor because there's no money going back and forth. We do 2 drives a year, one in the winter around New Year's, one in the summer around June and July. We collect all the cigars, so send cigars to us. Anything that you don't want to send, you can also send in lieu of money. We can keep that as cash to forward on your behalf, or we can use it to buy cigars. All of that goes directly to Cigars for Warriors. Do it for about 6 weeks. December 1st is the start date for our winter drive. It will run all the way to January 15th. Check out the Facebook post, comment here, or you can send us an email. Info is down in the show notes below on how to participate with us on that. But what we do on the giveaway, every time it's going to be a little bit different. This time, it is one prize, and this is what you're seeing right here. This is sponsored by Kevin Shahan from Trash Panda Cigars and Cigar Prop. First of all, if you don't know anything about Cigar Prop, you need to get your tail over to YouTube and do a little search because that man has massive, intense, amazing, kick-ass content.
Some of the best content. He's funny too. He's hilarious.
He's hilarious. He's down to earth. Whether he's talking about a product, whether he's talking about his own cigars.
Do you ever watch his Tech Tip? He's got a whole podcast on Tech Tip, or a YouTube series on Tech Tip.
He's also a mechanic, so he talks about mechanic stuff, which I appreciate because I'm also a mechanic, so I kind of correlate to some of that and find it interesting. Of course, I'm a mechanic on the side. He's a mechanic for real. You know, that's what he does all the time. I do it on the side, but fantastic guy. So he has given us everything that you saw in that picture, those Trash Panda Laces Out cigars, which are being discontinued. So great grab on those and all of that swag. Everybody that donates at least 20 cigars, it can be only 20 or more than 20, but as long as you donate 20 cigars to our drive, you will be entered into the giveaway for all of that swag. When the drive is over, Kevin is going to be joining us on this show. We're going to talk a little bit, just have a good time with him. And while he's on the show, we're going to spin the wheel live and determine which one of you gets to win those cigars and swag. So a pre-thank you to Kevin before we ever get started. The Winter Drive 2024 is sponsored by Cigar Prop and Trash Panda.
Is Justin Lowry available? Is he allowed to win? That's the question.
That's a very good question.
No, I'm just teasing.
Because we
like anyone else.
The last photo caption contest, we did not allow him to participate because he was on the show when we announced it. So, I guess technically, since he's not involved in this part of the show, we should be fair and let him participate. But I'm also hoping we continue to get multiple people to donate so the list of people on that wheel also grows, so there's more people that can have a chance. So
the good news is he can only get one spot, so he can't get 13.
This is not one of those 20. Where you get an entry every 20 cigars. it is as long as you send in 20, you get a slot. So if you send 20 cigars or you send 200 cigars, you get one slot. So this is more of a simple drawing for fairness on the amount of people, not the amount of entries. So Justin will have the same advantage as everybody else in this one. There is no weighted scale for multiple entries. So
Yeah.
But what that means for you is we don't care in this aspect. Yes, we love good cigars, and if you want to send great cigars, we appreciate it. But I'm not asking you to go out there and buy 20 Arturo Fuentes. I'm just asking you 20 cigars. Anything above and beyond that, we appreciate. And we've talked before, factory smokes are still good cigars, and they're $2-3 a piece. And I've said it before, if I'm in a place and somebody's giving me a cigar, a cheap cigar is better than no cigar because it gives me a moment to relax. And all those guys and gals appreciate us allowing them the opportunity to sit back, relax, enjoy some smokes with their battle buddies and kind of reflect on life a little bit. So
yeah, I'm done. I told you I'm all done with my shopping. I'm proud of myself. It's like when you get done with Christmas shopping early, I'm done.
Right.
So I got 24 cutters. Yeah, I think there's 12 in each pack. 24 cutters, 8 lighters, and then a bundle of factory smokes Maduro.
You know what? Let's clarify this because you just made me think about something. Not to purposely cut you off, but I want to correct myself. We say 20 cigars. We want to be able to send them cutters too. Now, Chad is exempt because we are both exempt as moderators of the podcast. Just throwing that out there. But we talked about adding cigar cutters to this. So 20 cigars or cutters.
Items. 20 items.
We're going to put those together. So 20 items. So 10 cigars, 10 cutters, 19 cigars, 1 cutter. As long as you have 20 items that you send, then we're going to count that. And if you want to send cash as well, as long as you were to send more than $20, if you used cash and not asking me to buy cigars, we'll also give you an entry. Basically, anything that you have that equates to that. So, sorry to cut you off. I want to clarify that because that kind
of. Would it be 20 though, or would it be? It should really be like 40.
I guess you're right. 40.
Because you can get sticks for a couple dollars each, right?
That's fair. So.
Now, I don't want to smoke any $1 cigars. You talk about good cigar, no cigar, but $1 cigars are a whole different animal.
That's true. So if we
get in the Swisher Sweet world,
right? If we use the factory smokes as the reference, they're like $2 and some change in most places. So $40 will count as an entry as well if you just send cash. So
I got my bundle for $36. So 36 or 38. It was under 40.
You're more than welcome to send cash, and we got multiple methods to do that. We'll post more details on the link below and the show notes below and on our Facebook page. So if you're not a member of the Facebook page, the links have been coming periodically on the bottom of the screen. They're in the show notes. Jump over there, join us, shoot us a message. This is the time of year that we push that because none of that goes to me or Chad or the channel. We are just the purveyors to help supply and facilitate getting that to Cigars for Warriors as one big family donation. Once it's done, we gather it, we send it all in one shot. So, But yeah, so to your clarification, I'll let you go back. But you made me think about that. So since we're trying to add cutters, those also count as items for entry.
No, I'm excited because I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. And when my bundle comes in, I'll just ship everything to you, and I'll probably go through and pull out 10 or 12 or 15 random sticks out of my personal stash and add those to it too. And I'm done. Yeah. I don't have to worry about any more Christmas shopping for the Cigars for Warriors.
And you know what's great? Now that we've got a routine, we do this twice a year. If you put that part of your purpose for helping people, we're not asking for monthly donations or anything like that. We do this twice a year. What we've started doing is by the time we finish this drive, we start prepping for the next one. So I put in an order, grab an extra bundle here. Put in an order, grab an extra few cigars here. So that way you're not dumping a lot of money if you need that ability to space it out. So that's what I started doing. So I'm kind of like you. I've got most of my gear and my cigars ready to go for the donation as well. So
Yeah, I mean, like to your point, if you're a guy that shops on Cigar Page or Cigar Bid or one of those sites, and just grab an extra 5-pack when you see something
right?
on sale.
And I've done that a few times. And doesn't always mean they're trashy cigars. It just means you got a really good deal. So,
Yep.
but I'm excited for the drive. So, sponsored by Trash Panda Cigar Prop on this one. And once the drive's over, look forward to seeing Kevin jump on the show with us for a good time and some good conversation. So,
Back
what
to
are
the
you?
cigar.
I get out of my head, Chad. Damn it.
I'm just starting to get some like cinnamon or something like that.
If you saw me staring off, I was actually trying to reread the notes and figure out what nutmeg
It's a baking spice
is.
of some sort.
Nutmeg. I was gonna say a baking spice of some sort, but I couldn't point it. They claim nutmeg. I think I can work with that. Justin, I think it was Justin did that to us a few shows back, and I was pulling something out and I couldn't pull the baking spice, and it was also nutmeg. So nutmeg's apparently one that I just can't put my finger on. But like once you tell me it's there and I recognize it's a spice, it's kind of a light bulb. I just can't pull it out much without audible assistance yet, I suppose.
I mean, I think when people talk about baking spice, there's, clove, cinnamon, nutmeg, and those all kind of run in the same family for me. So, like, I think that's a general enough statement. If you can't get if you can't get more specific, I think that's that's
baking
good
spice.
enough.
And
Baking spice.
There was one, and now I can't on the spot. I can't think of it that I smoked recently that was heavy with clove. Like it reminded. Did you ever smoke cigarettes before you jumped in this? Did you ever have
to smoke those cloves? Yes.
Yep.
They're fantastic.
So that was, I smoked cigars before I ever touched cigarettes. So I was backwards from most people.
Yeah, I was the opposite. Cigarettes
right.
before cigars.
And it seems most people are just because they're cheaper and you kind of get it. I was the opposite way around because one was given to me for a friend's 21st birthday at one point. But the Jarn Blacks were the ones that I liked the most when I was in that world because of the clove flavor. And there was a cigar, and I hate that I can't pull it out of my head right now because it was in the last week or two that I smoked that was so strong of cloves. Like I could pull that one out very.
I would love that. I love that note. I love any of those strong, like clove notes.
I'm gonna have to go back in my box press notes and hope to God it's one that I put on my review so I can pull out what it is.
So I've had a pretty struggling time with my burn. I don't know if you saw when you were talking earlier, I had to relight, or not relight, but touch up and kind of get it caught up because to your point, when it's running like that, you're not getting proper smoke production.
Right.
Because the cigar is not working with all the parts at the same time. So this is my second
touch up.
Yeah. The first one I didn't, when we talked about the early on one, I kind of let it go. And I probably should have touched it up then, but this is the second one.
I had that first run at the beginning. It's pretty much stayed level for me since. I mean, that little, 1/8 of an inch, that's not enough for me to give two craps about that. To me, that's an even burn. But it stayed even since I fixed it at the beginning. But the beginning was a little bit runny. Has it affected any flavor for you? Is it just kind of the draw? And
well, I think it's affected the draw, which in my opinion, if the draw is affected, the flavor is 100% affected because you're not pulling the stuff in you're supposed to. But flavor-wise, it's been a great cigar. I'm not knocking.
And we'll call this like it is. We are smoking these pretty early. They've been out from, I can't remember the exact specific date, but we're going to roughly say that they've been in our humidor for only about 2 months since release date. So I would almost bet you money that if we were to redo in a year, it could burn better just from having that extra time for the oils and everything to kind of blend together in the leaves and kind of just blend together in general. So sometimes that'll have an effect. So we don't always smoke cigars this early. As y'all know, most of the time we smoke them way after rest time to some degree, because I say we, but especially I like to let those rest. But we were having a hard time waiting on this one. Every time we've done a show, the last 3 or 4 episodes, one of us has mentioned hitting this cigar. So kind of being a little impatient because we really wanted to try this smoke, for being honest.
Yeah, so I don't know much about Black Star line cigars, and I can probably say this is honestly my first cigar from them ever.
So Black Star line, I know very little about them. I learned about them, period, at NFG 24. That's the event that Justin and I met family members Hayden and Eldon in Fort Worth. What I do know about it is a black-owned cigar company. From everything I know, I met the guys there. They seemed super freaking chill. There were some of the cigars that they had. They had a 5-pack of NFG exclusives that they made for that event. I've smoked several on the page. I've got 1 or 2 left. Fantastic cigars. And there's a couple others that I've tried that I cannot think of the goodness, I cannot think of the name of it off the top of my head. But it's not an old line. It's more of I would say it's a newer line, but they are coming off great. They've got a new one out that's called the War Witch that I want to get my hands on. So I don't know a whole lot about them. I think it's awesome that, unless I'm completely mistaken, that if they're newer in the game, that they've already been able to do a collaboration like this. And they could be older than I think, and I just didn't know about them. But
that was what I was wondering. I mean, to do a collab with Cigar Dojo that's pretty good stuff.
That is pretty good. And I tried to do a little bit, on their website and everything. And unless I've just missed it, I'm not 100% sure exactly how old they are. But either way, I think they're, only, a couple years old. But like I said, I could be wrong. And by all means, told y'all before, if I'm misspoken, correct me. But everything I've seen with them so far, which is a little bit, has been phenomenal. I've been impressed. Nothing bad to say about it whatsoever. May have to get my hands on some of those War Witch and give them a shot if, impressed with, what we've seen, what I've seen from them so far. Oh, we're going to showcase the band. Let's do that, because that is a great. So you see if you're looking at it, your left side, that's the Black Star Line logo. On the right is the Cigar Dojo logo. And you've got Yasuke Samurai in the middle. It's just a gorgeous band.
It is pretty cool. When you
said
it, I've been itching to get it out of that bag.
I guess gorgeous is the wrong word for this one, because I think badass is more appropriate.
Sexy. It's sexy. You can be badass and sexy at the same time, and I like sexy bands.
This is a guy's design for guys. I'm just going to call it like it is. This is sick. So
it's very masculine for sure.
I don't know who was the head honcho, whether it was the Cigar Dojo side or the Black Star line side or the Agnorsa side that was the headliner in creating the blend. Whoever it was, great job. Flavors are fantastic.
Aganorsa rolls for a lot of people, don't they? A lot of the small boutique places have their stuff rolled through Aganorsa.
They do. They're a great brand on their own. So they've got quality control. It's when you have places like them that have such a long-standing tradition of great cigar rolling. It's kind of like your control of Davidoff and Fuente. They just got it on lock. So there are a lot of people who are using Aganorsa leaf, and like I said, you try their own cigars and they're phenomenal. So they made a good choice of partnering with them to make this one happen. I think.
I'm gonna give this a second cut.
Fix that end up a little bit,
Well,
or open it up.
yeah, I'm concerned I may have gotten her a little wet.
Ah,
Might help with my smoke.
well, I'm a fan. Like I said, we've been lucky on a long string of shows. We've been able to give good reviews, and it's not always the case. If you're
Yeah, I
concerned
think
about if you're
to
concerned
your
about
point,
honesty, we do have a show that was not quality, but so we're not always saying that they're badass smokes. But
so to
this
your
one.
point, I think I was more excited to smoke the cigar than the review I would give you right now for the few items that we've come through. But I
Right.
think that this cigar in 6 months will be
Agreed.
phenomenal. But I don't think it's there yet.
So I am not opposed. We haven't done one of these yet, but so far we haven't smoked a release that's this close to release yet. I am not opposed to doing a follow-up review in 6 months or a year, coming back and smoking the same cigar and see what we get
That
different.
would be a good show. Yep.
Because we do have the benefit of this one where this one hasn't been in the humidor a month. It's been in there. In fact, let me pull this up and we'll tell you exactly. I want to say it's 2 months, but I'm gonna make sure that I am correct on this. If I can learn how to spell, that would be great. So, like 6 weeks actually.
Yeah, it's been in mine 2 weeks. So.
Yep. So,
Or so.
You started in my humidor, ended up in yours. So total time, you're 5-6 weeks of actual humidor time once they were delivered. So be fantastic to come back and review this one at a later date.
Yeah, and I think that probably with these exclusive drops, you might find that more often than not, they do need some age because it's an exclusive drop and they're just pushing stuff out a little quicker, I think, to get it to market. So,
and outside of the burn issues, which I think, like you said, when you're talking about construction and smoke and quality, that alone could make a difference in the flavor profiles. And if we're already thinking that it's a good flavor profile now, I would be interested to see what happens later on. So we may very well have to do that.
Yeah, so I'm in touch-up number 3 now. For me, it totally changes the experience because if you think about how a cigar is constructed, it's meant to be smoked with that exact ratio straight back, right? So when you start doing this, what you get is not what it was intended. So,
yeah, because you're hitting a different blend at a slightly different ratio than it's rolled with.
It's burning back here. It's not burning here. If you're struggling here and you have some kind of wet tobacco or stem or something, you're getting things that aren't supposed to be in the flavor anyway. So it does completely change your profile.
And the exaggeration is that if you get somebody that's tunneling it, it's going to be hot, so it's going to burn quicker. But you're getting, every blend's a little bit different, but a lot of times they'll put the harsher note in the middle. Well, if you're tunneling, that's all you're smoking, and it's hardly getting the outside, so you're getting a completely different ratio. So on an exaggerated point, if you can visualize that, even like you're saying, if it's just running, you're getting more. You're getting more of your true filler than your blended fillers and whatnot. So
I've had very few, and I see people posting these pictures about tunneling. I've had very few cigars tunnel, and you know how many cigars I smoke. I mean, So I think a lot of that, and I think I saw a post by Saka one time about this. His official, statement on it was that typically it's more of a lighting issue. The way you're lighting your cigar, properly lighting, and if you're not properly lighting, sometimes that leads to tunneling. So I think his point was these guys use these big 4-burner torches, and you're just, well, if you're just cooking the middle in, because it's you got to get the outside going at the same time, and that's the problem. If you're cooking the middle in, it's going to burn faster, and then you get what they call a tunnel. I see some of these guys posting pictures that aren't true tunneling, and you can tell it's not true tunneling because
it's just a hot point.
Yeah, I think that more looks like a hot point that's run back through the cigar, but
And I've got, I was able to light it with a match today, but I've got various lighters. So, what I had on hand if I had to use it was the one from Freestyle Live. That's a single
single
torch.
point. Yep.
I don't actually have it on hand with me because I didn't plan on bringing it, but I actually have 2 or 3 quad torches. And the first time I ever used the quad torch, I learned quickly that it was over lighting. So they are great for outside if you got a little extra wind, because even if one burner's tipping in the wind, you got the other ones burning. But I take it on the cruise ships a lot because sometimes I just need help, a little extra hump to get to the wind.
You need a bunch there. Yeah, I agree.
Need a bunch. So, but with that, I have learned, once you start toasting, pull it at an angle and start. If you focus on the outside of the band, it'll even out your burn.
And roll the cigar while you're doing it, right?
Right. If you just suck that thing in the middle, it is going to cook the inside. So I
encourage all new smokers, like anybody, to go with a single flame torch while you're learning how to light, because if you screw the light up, you're not going to have a good experience. So the most important thing to any cigar is getting it lit properly first. And if you do that, then you should have some success. But I encourage all the new smokers I ever talk to, go with a single flame, because I started out years ago with a quad torch or a double, and learned the hard way and ruined some cigars. And it's just so much easier to learn how to light properly with a single flame. Once you do that, you can light it with anything, right? But you have to kind of know what the
once you get the hang of your light, and your finesse. It's funny. Tim Swanson posted a real short reel, and I forget if it was on Insta or TikTok or a Facebook reel, and it was just the four common progressions of lighting. And you see the first guy, up on top of it, struggling to light it, and by the time you progress through it, you see the end, and your torch, roll, light, angle, puff. It's just like any other skill. The more you do it, the cleaner and more efficient you get at it. Without you want to torch the end without burning the end. So
yeah, you see like a lot of new smokers putting the blue part of the flame right on the. That's kind of a no. You're trying to really light it with the residual heat that's above your flame, and
it actually frustrates me on the cruise ships because sometimes I have to do that because the flame will be kicking off. But once you get it lit, well, then I can come back and do micro touch-ups to correct it. But I know that I've got to do that because I'm, 20 knot winds coming at me. So
yeah, you could do a whole show on the appropriate or how to light cigars on a cruise ship, because it's a challenge.
Oh man!
One of the ships I went on, I didn't take a torch, so I had Bic lighters, and I'm out there on the deck trying to light a cigar with a Bic lighter, and it was almost impossible.
I've learned to take about 3 torches with me. I only need 1 full torch to get me through a week. But inevitably, there's always somebody out there that struggled like we both did initially, trying to light them with the Bic, and they're like, "Man, can I borrow your lighter?" Yep, come here. So I loan a lot of fuel out, but that's how you figure it out.
Yeah, that's part of the brotherhood.
Well, Chad, we gotta wrap this one up. It's been another banger of a conversation today. So great cigar, Cigar Dojo, Black Star line, fantastic. We are. I'm just gonna say we're gonna have to do a redo show because
I'd love to.
The flavors are fantastic. The only issue we're really getting is burning. Mine's self-corrected itself, but it's had a couple moments. Chad's had a worse experience. I know he's got a little bit of wind, but the wind alone wouldn't cause the runs he's got. So nothing to hit on the flavors from what we're pulling. The construction itself is pretty solid. Looks great. Just got those burn issues. So we're going to revisit this one. I don't know if we're going to do it in 6 months or a year.
6 years.
6 years. I mean, shoot, we may do that too.
Super aged.
But we'll come back and review this one at a later date and see the changes that we get compared to 6 weeks in the humidor versus 6 months or a year. So, but if you're interested in any of those drops we talked about, by all means, go search them. Some of them are sold out by now. Some of them are still there because they're annual releases. But always good to watch out for new products coming out, new things to try. And that's kind of what we're about, giving us excuses to have conversations about new cigars and new experiences.
Yep.
But again, Chad, I appreciate you coming on, being a wingman on the podcast these days. It's always a pleasure to sit and talk to you, which we do off camera plenty.
I love being here, man.
So, you guys at home, thank you again for listening, watching, and little tidbit. As I've said before, if I make a mistake, if I forget something, feel free to call me out, as Sean Furr has done recently when I completely forgot who he was when we talked about the Rocky Patel. He called me out. I love it. I like the kickback. I like you to tell me when I'm wrong, because that just makes for a better, realistic show. So send us the comments. Hit us up on the Facebook page. Send me an email. Everything's down below in the show notes. And until next time, stay safe and hollow down.
See you guys.